give you vision, but it is also somewhat of a liability. It's debatable whether or not it's worth it. However, Artosis did put up that pylon before he saw the Banshees come out, so it's really not a bad idea. It's whether or not he continues to try to put pylons up in vulnerable positions again. He does scout that the Terran expanded, but he just expanded, so there's not SCVs in transferred quite yet. So he does have a slight economic lead, and in doing so, he's going to be getting the 6 gateways that you were talking about last game to hopefully be able to get out the units to be able to defend against this and do some sort of counterattack.
Yeah, so with this 6 gateway bill, it's very popular right now in Korea, according to one of our Korean people living here in the Gom house. He says it's very, it can be used very defensively and very aggressive at the same time. In case you are attacking, you can reinforce your army with pretty much at a easy click. And also, if an army comes your way, you can easily defend as well. He already has 2 High Templars out, probably waiting to collect energy, and should be chrono boosting Storm right now at the very moment. All gateways are out and actually get scanned. He does see also, Artosis does know though that there are 2 Banshees up in the corner again, as they are coming to his base right now and getting attacked. The observer will be able to detect them, and his stalkers will be able to fend them away.
So the Terran knows that that Artosis has an observer out, so you still see him cloak, which doesn't actually do anything defensively, but what he's really trying to do is use up his energy so he can't be feedbacked immediately. Feedback can kill a Banshee in 1 shot if the Banshee has saved up energy, so a lot of times the Terran will just use cloak in order to keep the energy down so that if he does get feedback, it does minimal amount of damage.
Yeah, very true. Not much else is going on right now other than Artosis is using those 6 gateways to amass an army to defend his bases, knowing that the Terran most likely will be pushing out very shortly. He's going to use all these observers he has out right now to try to get as much map coverage to see what's going on, since he knows that the Banshees will be picking off any lone unit standing at the tower. So he's pretty much using the observers like overlords to get a clear path of what the Terran is going to do. And he's going to try to push it again, but that observer will be there, and these High Templars will be there to also feedback him, but no need. Artosis will be taking his 3rd as the Terran at this very time as well.
So going back to this Banshee play a bit, the Terran player hasn't really done any serious damage with the Banshees, but what he's really doing is he's keeping Artosis in his base. By constantly moving in and out, the Banshees are going to take a few hits, but he hasn't lost a single one yet. What he does is he goes in until they get hurt, backs out, and then repairs them so that they can come right back in. Again, he's not getting much damage, but it's keeping Artosis in his base, so the 6 Wolfgate army cannot do any serious damage to the Terran player. Unfortunately, this is from a point of view of Artosis, so we don't know how the Terran is expanding, but the Terran is going for a push right now, which usually indicates that behind that push is a 3rd expansion. Just a guess, though, really have no idea. However, the 2 forces are going to be coming together right here. The Banshees cloak and back up, and then Artosis off 2 extremely good storms, killing most of the bio units right there. Another storm to do quite a bit of damage to the Banshees, really hurting them. Hopefully they're not going to be able to come in and do any serious damage. Artosis' army is actually quite small, though, so he can't do any counter push immediately. However, he is going to clean this up quite easily. These Thors out here is quite interesting. There's 3 Thors, which indicates some sort of heavy Thor play. The Thors are extremely efficient against gateway units, especially since after one of the more recent patches, the Thors no longer have energy, so they can't be feedbacked by the Templar. As you can see, Artosis only has a handful of units left after that attack, but we don't know whose favor that actually came out. I'm not exactly sure how large the Terran army was to begin with.
Yeah, and if you guys notice at the beginning of the encounter, he does a very smart thing, which he feeds back that Banshee, which null negates and putting down a point defense drone, which, as you can tell, Artosis was very stalker heavy. So if that point defense drone had gone down, that encounter would have came out way different. As for right now, Artosis is putting down 4 more gateways, so we know he's going to go very heavy on the gateway, and actually taking a 4th. So it'll be interesting to see if the Terran does some ghost play, knowing that Artosis will be going heavy on the gateway units.
Yeah, but that is still a very versatile build. You can get a lot of Zealots, you can get a lot of Stalkers out, especially since you have the Twilight Council, so you can get the gateway upgrades that you really need to allow your gateway units to be very powerful into the late game. Uh, this is very interesting from the Terran player, though. He's going for a decent amount of Thors. Mixed in with that is a good amount of Banshees, and as you saw before, the Raven. If the Raven were able to get down the point defense drone, that battle would have most likely turned quite a bit differently, seeing as Artosis is only left with maybe half a dozen Stalkers at the end of that, which would have been almost completely nullified by a point defense drone. Artosis is getting up his third base is fully running, and he's going for a fourth right now, as you were saying. Hopefully this will help him get an economic lead. However, we don't really know if that's the case, seeing as Artosis has not seen anything beyond the natural of the Terran player. It's quite possible that the Terran player has the full map, and really if you're in a situation like this, you want to send out a probe or a zealot or something just to constantly scout to see when your opponent is expanding and know exactly how to react to him.
As for right now, since we don't have a replay, we don't know what the Terran is doing. But I'm assuming very likely that the Terran has already probably taken his fourth as well. He's just trying to harass right now on Artosis' base and making sure that he tries to keep the probe count, and actually going to be doing another harassment with the Banshees. Artosis does try to warp into Stalkers, but it will not have enough to fend it off. He's also going to try to move in his whole army and blink in, beautiful blink to probably pick off this one Banshee. Oh, I don't know. It got away probably with like 5 HP, but very close there. As you can tell, the Terran is being very, very aggressive with his harassment, trying to pick off as many probes and just keep Artosis on his side of the base. Probably amassing another huge army and probably going to try to move in again. Seeing also the army composition, what gateway units that Artosis is trying to pump out. As you can probably tell, he's probably making them force pump out a lot of Stalkers and High Templars. So the Terran, as far as scouting purpose, he's doing a great job as getting as much information as he can.
Yeah, the Terran's got very deep penetration into the Protoss base, so he has almost entire vision of what Artosis is doing and is going to be able to react properly. Again, he almost takes out a Banshee, but the Banshees do get away. These Banshees originally did not do a whole lot of damage, but the Terran player has been very, very good with them, keeping them effective throughout the entire game. And now Artosis does finally get a scout. He does see a planetary fortress on the third base of the Terran player. It's going to be very hard to push that in any short term. However, it does make it not quite as valuable as far as the economy is concerned for the for the Terran player.
And as you can tell right now, actually getting his fourth base scouted. So it'll be interesting to think what the Terran thinks. The Terran thinks if Artosis has 5 bases or 4 bases right now, because that third base, which was in the top right corner, could mean that he already has the one below, but he will not know unless he comes up and scouts. Actually putting down a robotics bay. Was that a robotics bay? And Stargate, which is very good. I think he should have came out with it earlier, as one of our people in the cast in our channel just said. If he had pumped out a few Phoenixes, maybe this Banshee play would have came to an end a while ago.
Well, the Phoenixes would help defend from the air position, but they actually would not help in any sort of major conflict, seeing as the Terran player does have a bunch of Thors, so those Thors would rip through the Phoenix very, very quickly. And those Phoenix are not a cheap unit. If the Terran player can keep the Banshees away from the Phoenix, then he can kill the Phoenix and then move the Banshees in to kill the rest of the army, which would be weaker. So now the Terran is... Whoa. Okay, going into part 2. Sorry about that, guys. 1 second. So this is a 2-part video. This game has been going on for about 40 minutes so far. I did need to render the video into 2 parts, so sorry about any sort of disconnect there. But as I was saying, the Terran player was moving in with the Banshees, scouting the 4th base of the Protoss and able to do a little bit of damage. Nothing serious, but Linear just pointed out that Artosis is going for 6 Stargates. As we were saying, that the Phoenix is not is very good against Banshees, assuming that they're fighting in a one-on-one fight. But because of the Thors, it is very difficult to get those Banshees close enough to actually do any damage to the Banshees. So I believe Artosis is thinking more either carriers or Void Rays here. He does have a lot of money saved up because he does have now 5 bases. Well, except for his main. His main is fully mined out. But he does have 4 other bases getting a huge economy for him. A little misblink there. He only got half of his stalkers up, but that should be enough to be able to chase these Banshees away without taking any serious damage. And hopefully that will help him to be able to transition into a late game army from heavy Stargates and using the huge amount of gateways that he has. He has almost, I think, 12 gateways now. So yeah, you can see he does have a ton of money saved up. Not a terrible amount of gas, but that should be enough to be able to get out a sizable army of Void Rays if that's what he's going for.
Yeah, the Terran, like I said, is doing a great job just containing Artosis right now. He's pretty much trying to get enough production facilities to push out, which right now he's maxed, so he can't produce out. He's putting his high Templars on the high ridge right here. He's going to get some great storms right on that Terran Bio Ball, and actually will be able to defend this mini push from the Terran, because I'm assuming this is not his whole army, going with Mass Marines, and he will be able to defend it. Knowing also at the same time the Terran will be attacking at the main base, and Artosis will be warping in 3 more Stalkers to take out these Banshees. And he will blinks away just in time, though.
Yeah, you want to be careful as a Protoss player warping in units like this. As you're warping in, they can be taking some hits from the Banshees, and a 1-to-1 Stalker to the Banshee is not a fight that you really want to be in. The Banshees would be able to float away as they're taking damage, and 1-to-1 the Banshees will win that fight if it's straight up. However, it did buy Artosis a little bit of time to be able to make sure that he didn't take any serious economic or production damage in his main base. So now Artosis does see that the Terran player did get the gold base. If he does have the other 2 bases on the right side, that would give the Terran a huge economic lead. However, I don't believe he's been at this gold for very long. Unfortunately for Artosis, it is a planetary fortress. Oh, whoa! We have a planetary fortress just hidden in the choke. That's actually a really good idea. It essentially shuts down that position, and in a fight like this that is actually being forced, gives the Terran a huge advantage. That is also a very, very large number of Thors. They are going to go down relatively quickly, but not without Artosis taking heavy, heavy losses. Just feedbacks to Banshee right there, taking it down very quickly. Artosis is trying to get a ton of Zealots coming out. He does have a lot of extra minerals, not so much extra gas, and he's going to be using this gas to get out Void Rays. Void Rays are quite good against Thors in small numbers. How they work in a large battle is we're going to have to see, seeing as the Terran player did have about 20 Thors, I think. There was actually so many Thors that you couldn't actually see how many there were because of the fog of war. And in the background you can see Lanier there, John, Che. So I don't know what Artosis is thinking right now. He did lose quite a few units without taking out too much. He took out the planetary fortress, which was guarding that pathway to the 4th and 5th base of the Terran player, but at considerable losses, so I don't know how he's going to move on.
Yeah, from what I could tell, he lost almost 60 worth of food, and it did free up space for him, though, now to get his air units out, which would be very interesting, I mean, though, considering that the Terran player is going very heavy Thor build, so he needs to spread out these air units as well as possible. He does get a scan in time, so he will be able to see the army, and actually great EMPs on those Archon.
Yeah, it was very good EMPs. However, Artosis was in a good position. He only had a few units getting EMP'd. Oh, another great EMP going off on almost everything. His air units are also clustering, which is going to go down very, very quickly to the Thors. They're already gone, and these Stalkers are going to die even faster to the Thors due to their high damage output to ground units. A bunch of Zealots coming here, which are quite good against Thors, but really the number of Thors that are out there is going to be very hard for Artosis to fight off. He does have a ton of gateways, so hopefully he can get another wave here to be able to defend this, but that is a lot of Thors.
Yeah, that is quite a lot of Thors, and I can't tell what the upgrades on the mech units are, but I'm pretty sure, knowing this Terran, that it's pretty